to Scoundrels, another Star Wars podcast. I am Frank Janice alongside Kevin Smets and Brandon Hanna. This is take 2 of the intro, and Kevin loved this week's episode of Bad Batch. Brandon Hanna loved this week's episode of Bad Batch, but Kevin really loved it. He's going to tell you all about why it's so important to the story this season and what to expect, and he's just booming with excitement, aren't you, Kevin?
I feel like the first take he did way better and it was way more natural. So I think
right?
we should, if you could try to intercut the first take to the second one, it would be way better. Well, let's jump over to we don't need to hear from me. Let's talk. Brandon, how you doing, Mr. Wrecker Ralph? What do you think overall? Let's just dive right in, right? Just do the socials, follow us. Brandon, what do you think of the show?
I'm gonna wreck it.
You know, Wrecker did some wrecking this episode. I'm not gonna lie.
He did. He's an explosions expert, as I heard many times in this episode.
Just in case you didn't get it, you know.
Yeah, Frank, what did you say the name of this episode was?
Bad Territory.
Bad Territory. You know, I had a whole bit in take 1 where I was talking about how every single episode of the Bad Batch should have been titled Bad Something, like in Friends. So it's like the one where they do this, the one where this happens. It's like Bad Potatoes,
Bad Breath,
Karma.
Bad breath, and that would be like a Sarlacc pit episode.
When the one where Crosshair betrays them, Bad Crosshair.
Bad Crosshair.
Yeah.
Let's see. I mean, I guess like
Or we could
episode
just
1 would be Badly Confined. Episode 2, Bad Paths Unknown. Oh, come on, Kevin, come on.
Or just
episode 3 could be Bad Shadows of Tantus. Yeah, there you go. Episode 4 could be A Different Bad Approach.
A bad approach.
Episode 5 could be The Bad Return. There you go. We fixed it.
I think you're onto something there, buddy.
It's always nice to see Fennec Shand back in the mix, you know. Yeah, not too much to talk about this episode. Like I knew it was like, oh, it's gonna be one of those like side quest episodes. Like it serves the plot, but it's like a sidestep to like, you know.
How did it serve the plot? Nothing got accomplished. She double crosses him anyway.
It's like, well, did she though? That's what I was wondering. At first, I was pissed. I was like, oh my god, that Fennec Shand, she's so bad. I can't wait till she turns good.
Did you do this
in the
too?
Book of Boba Fett? Like, she's gonna be great in Book of Boba Fett, but before that, she's just bad. But then I thought about it, and I was like, well, what if maybe? Here's my theory. I'm jumping to my theory already.
Yeah.
My theory is her message at the end was to Asajj Ventress, and that she already tried, there's a bounty on Ventress because she's like an M count target. Mm-hmm. Fennec already tried to hunt down Ventress for the bounty for the Empire, and they ended up sorting it out, ended up like, you know, splitting, like going different ways, being friends, being homies. And I think now, like, that's her connection to the whole M count thing is Ventress.
Say midichlorian, damn you. How dare you? What are you, Disney Plus? Dude, Frank was on Jedi Way this week, which I think this airs beforehand, so I guess this would be spoiler territory on the next episode. Yeah. But I was telling Frank about how close did they almost say midichlorians. The kid says, what is that? Like, no one didn't decide to be like, oh, it's in all your science books. It's called midichlorians. It's gonna be said before the end of the season. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility, Brandon. I think she's talking to Boba Fett, and I think Boba Fett's going to be the one that tracks her down eventually. And I think that Boba Fett will realize that he's basically looking at his kindred sister, blood sister, and he's going to say that he's going to realize that the bounty on that. There are some bounties that aren't worth it.
You have a twin sister.
Exactly. And so he will then help them all escape. So I think that he will join that big cause for the clones or whatever, and however the end is going to be, I don't know. But I believe that is a Boba Fett. But I think that it's probably more likely Asajj Ventress. But I think if it was on Bovada or like Sportsline, you have to put Boba Fett on there, and I don't think it would be crazy hard odds that it could be him. And I think that would be an interesting story to tell of him meeting. You know, and you know he does know Fennec Shand. I know that he tells her he says I'm Boba Fett, and she's like, no, Boba Fett died. So she could think they could still have this business working relationship and how they know each other anyway. And so it's an interesting thought though that it could be Asajj Ventress. Either way, I'm excited to see who that is. I wasn't excited about anything else except the Crosshair Omega stuff, which I think could have been threaded in another episode either later down the line or earlier that had more global impact to the overall story arc. But my compatriots on Jedi Way did turn me a little bit. It's like, oh, maybe it's earned. Maybe they're allowed to take a breather and have an adventure of the week. But for me, I'm like the NFL season, 16, 17 games now, 18 games, whatever it is, since the expansion.
27 games.
Well, no, the regular season. But it's such a big deal. It's like appointment viewing on Sundays, right? Whereas like the NFL season, the NBA season, even hockey, it's a little long. It takes a little longer. Like I remember the strike-impacted hockey season was so cool when they came back because it was like 30 games or whatever, and every game felt important, right? Or it could have been that year of baseball, but either way, or basketball. Regardless, I'm sidetracking too much here. I just think that some of the best shows ever, 10 episode seasons, 12 episode seasons. This is 18, so we're in for a long haul. We still have 10 more episodes.
16 episodes.
16? Okay,
Yeah.
So everything I said about that sentence is not true, as Luke would say. But I enjoyed the Crosshair Omega stuff. It's like I was saying, like you get so invested in it and you're so like moved by it, but then let's cut over to space Florida and anacondas and space alligators on this adventure that again she doesn't give them the information that nothing was accomplished in that side quest at all except that move the story forward that Fennec is talking to someone and that's probably bringing Asajj Ventress into it, but. Other than that, I did think to resurrect this old bit from season 1 of Scout
Season
Sync, as
2.
Brandon would say. It was filler episode. You lost me right when you say, "Oh yeah, I'll do that," but first you have to do something for me. That is literally every line in every video game, and I kind of zoned out after that.
I think the Omega Crosshair stuff in this episode was great. So far, they've been the backbone of the season by far, as well as kind of the other PTSD the clones at large are dealing with the transition from Stormtrooper or Clone Trooper to Stormtrooper. I will say that my initial thought was when Fennec was talking to that mystery person, it was Asajj. It could also be Cad Bane because we did see him in the trailer. He's got to pop up. It would be interesting if Fennec Shand was working or had worked with Cad Bane in terms of bounty hunting M-count candidates because Cad Bane would certainly be hot on the trail of those people. He's one of the baddest bounty hunters that ever lived, and he would certainly love that challenge of hunting down Jedi or people who have high M-count, midichlorian counts, and the ability to wield the Force and whatnot. Seems like those targets would be right up his alley. However, I do lean more towards Asajj because Fennec didn't really seem too vindictive or conniving in her interactions with Wrecker and Hunter. She was a little misleading in terms of what she wanted them to do and how she was going to twist it to her own favor. But I don't think she really crossed them in any serious or mortal danger type of way. So I do think it would be Asajj because Asajj would be someone have a vested interest in what the Empire is doing with M-count subjects because she is one herself, and I think she would probably want to take down Mount Tantus because of all the experimenting they're doing on M-count subjects, which falls in line with what the Bad Batch is trying to do at large now, is trying to take down Tantus for all the experimenting they're doing on the clones. And so both of their objectives would align in terms of taking down Mount Tantus. I think that's how Asajj will be utilized. How ultimately they bring her into the story still remains to be seen. She might not be that figure that Fennec Shand was talking to. So I'm really curious about what this mysterious figure, who it could be, what it could mean, if it's not Asajj, or if it's not Cad Bane. So if it was Boba Fett, that would be pretty cool, Kevin. I admit that would be pretty cool. I just don't know how. At what point in the timeline is like Boba Fett still pretty jaded because of saw his dad's head get lopped off by a Jedi? Is he still because we saw him in Clone Wars episodes where he was pretty he was trying to put on a tough face and he wasn't quite up to the challenge yet. When he was with Bosk and what's the other
Dengar.
Ooh. Dengar, yeah, part of it too, right? And then what was the other chick? Shoot, I forget her name.
Are you talking about the
Or
Phantom Menace?
Yeah, Orsine, is that her name? Right. So, anyways, It'd be cool to catch up with Boba Fett at this point in the timeline to see what he's like.
And not as stunt casting either. There's a story to be told there because
for sure
he is the genetic template basically. Well, his dad was, but like he's a slow grown version of it. And I would think that he would feel when he sees his brothers. I'm always curious about what he does think. Does he think of them as maybe he resents them because it's like, like think of it this way. Like sometimes a brother is very jealous over their sister or a sibling, right? Now imagine you have 10 million of them or whatever.
Right.
That might annoy you. So maybe he hates them all. So, but
Right.
that's something it's interesting, and I'd like to see delve further in it at some point.
I think you're right. That would be an interesting way to go about it. Brandon, any thoughts on Boba Fett and his potential interaction?
Yeah, I don't know.
Answer the question like Crosshair.
I don't know about my brother Boba Fett. He's a clone, but he thinks he's better than all of us. Even Omega, who I love very much.
All right.
Oh
okay.
my God.
All right, man, it's incredible. I thought D. Bradley Baker was here, doing the voice of Crosshair.
He is. He's just right there. Off
Oh,
camera.
okay.
Yeah, I was like, I know. Oh, you don't want to come on? Okay. No, he doesn't. He doesn't want.
DBB.
To come on.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, but he's there.
Brandon, what are your thoughts on so far? I guess especially this episode between Omega and Crosshair and how she was helping him and kind of being like a therapist, if you will, and get him to meditate and helping him, cure his shaky hand. What do you think about their story arc so far?
Yeah, it's a nice moment to see them like bonding together more, and the trust between even Hunter and Crosshair now between a few episodes ago to leave the two of them alone. And this is way off topic, but I remember watching, I don't know if how often we've seen Crosshair in broad daylight lately, but
That's true.
looking at that scar on the side of his head is disgusting. I'm sorry, but that man, it looks like there was chunks taken out of his head a little extra today. I don't know what was happening.
Are you like Austin Powers, who couldn't stop looking at Fred Savage's mole and or whatever?
Mole.
That's exactly what it was. I was just also like, scar.
Oh
scar,
my gosh.
Scar. No, not to shame anybody, but he's a
Yeah, not to
cartoon,
shame,
so I
but
think I
you
can get
just
away with
totally
it. I
shame
think I can get away with it.
Yeah, I'm
He's
sure
a
Crosshair's
cartoon.
gonna be really bent out of shape because he's gonna send us an email and be like, "What is Brandon talking about?"
I'm not trying to win a beauty contest.
All right. No, and then also is there a canonical reason why he has the crosshair over his eye? Did he do that
his name.
himself?
I don't know.
But did he take a knife and go,
This is gonna look so cool.
He was at the tattoo
it's gonna
parlor with Mike
confuse me.
Tyson that one night, and they were like, "Let's get face tattoos, bro." And he was like, "Yes."
Well, you know the clone Tic Tac Toe. He has it all. It's like a Tic Tac Toe board all over it. That's from that. You know what I'm talking about, right?
No.
no way? I think you made
Bad joke. Sorry.
But you know what's funny? I was like, "Wait a minute."
Yeah, I know.
No.
I feel like I almost had.
I
you,
know
man.
because the way you said it, I was like, "Wait a minute."
I know.
He
I should have
might
said
be
something a
telling
little
the
more.
truth.
I was trying to think maybe Spot or something more
Yeah.
ridiculous. Crosshatch. Crosshatch.
Crosshatch.
It's just he looks like
Just a stitch. Yeah.
Yeah, or corduroy.
Corduroy?
Lines. Never mind. We're spinning.
He
out.
wears nothing but corduroy armor. That's why he's.
Yeah.
He just loves the feel of it. He loves
And
the
he
feel.
has elbow patches. The clone that has elbow patches on his.
Patches? Yeah, patches. The clone patches.
So, yeah, I was really paying attention to the details, which I guess is just a testament to the animation. It looks
Yeah.
that good.
Looks very
I was
good.
wow.
I mean, that establishing shot of Pabu was incredible. I was like, let me pause right here because this is a painting. This is a work of art. I would hang on my wall. I'm week to week. I'm blown away by the animation.
Have your odds changed for if you're going to hear midi-chlorian after seeing this episode? Do you think we're going to hear it?
Brandon?
I feel like you have to hear it.
Right?
Whenever they finally figure out what an M count is, someone's got to tell them.
Right.
Like,
Oh,
oh,
that's
it means,
that's the same thing. Oh, okay.
it means midi-chlorians. Oh, what the hell's that?
Symbiotic life forms living together for
Oh,
mutual
dumb,
advantage.
yeah.
Yeah. So, this episode. I mean, look, we're at the halfway point now of the final season, the third season. So I think it's about time we start bringing in Asajj Ventress or Cad Bane or some other characters here that we don't know about yet, even like Boba Fett potentially. In the comments out there, I'm curious what the audience thinks. If Boba Fett will make an appearance in this final season of Bad Batch, on a scale of 1 to 10, 90%, 80%, what are people thinking now that, Kevin threw that out there? And it's not the first time you've mentioned it, but I'm curious.
Has there been any rumors of it? Because I
have not seen a thing about
speculation.
That. Yeah, I've not seen anything.
Makes sense. I don't know. I mean, you know me, when I watch, I'm not one of those people that think I can do it better. Even though I did an Obi-Wan Kenobi cut that I feel is better than the series. But
depends how the wind's blowing.
My brain, I can't shut it off. I always am thinking of where are they going with this? And I don't do that because I'm unhappy with the product. I do it because it's fun. And so I think it would be really cool. I think that's an aspect that one day we'd be remiss if we didn't know what his opinions are on the clones. I'm fascinated by it now more than ever, bringing it up. But would he think of them brotherly or because all the clones were brothers in arms, right? Or would he think very separately? A weird metaphor to this or a comparison is purposely on the set of Saving Private Ryan, Matt Damon did not do any of the training in the boot camp that all the other soldiers did. So then when they were on the set, there was that feeling of resentment, we went through boot camp. This jerk off didn't have to do anything, and you know what I mean? And to create that slight underlining feeling of resentment between the actors, which is ballsy. Yeah. Would that be how the clones feel about a Boba Fett? Or would Boba Fett just feel like, oh, you guys are all test tube babies, even though I am, but I was nurtured by him. You don't understand who my dad really was. And it's very fascinating.
Yeah, because the regs, you look down on Batch 99, they looked at them as abominations, and so maybe Boba Fett wouldn't look at Clone Force 99 the way the regs did, because he's also an outlier in terms of the mass-produced versions of him, So I don't know. Yeah, it is an interesting thing to think about for sure.
Hopefully all right, we're going to retire this forever.
We still have 8 more episodes to go. So,
and I still have a Sharpie, and new paper gets produced every day, so you never know.
Okay. Well, not too much really to discuss here on this episode, but before we do wrap up, we just want to talk to you, Kevin, about Acolyte, because Brandon and myself, we did a reaction to the trailer that's here on the channel, so you can go ahead and watch our live reaction, our genuine reaction to the trailer on this channel. You can go ahead and look that up. And we talked about it a little bit on that video, Brandon and I, but we haven't heard from Kevin. So brief thoughts to close out this episode on the Acolyte and what you're looking forward to.
Yeah, brief thoughts are I thought it was good. I wasn't necessarily blown away by it, but I appreciated it, and I'm excited to see what's to come. I'm not one of those that demands fanboy service, so I wasn't upset that Yoda wasn't in it. I do think that Carrie-Anne Moss isn't living through the first episode. I think she's the blood on the poster. And I think that her murder will spark this whole thing. I think a lot of Jedi are going to get murdered, but I think that's kind of a big deal. It's equating to when you have a show and you kill off the main character in the first episode. I had mentioned Lost. I'm trying to think of others that I can't remember, but it is a powerful tool to really set things in motion. Steven Seagal died in executive decision in the first 10 minutes. You didn't think that was going to happen. You thought
Emilio Estevez dies in the beginning of Mission Impossible.
Mighty Ducks.
Yes. Oh, that's right. He gets smashed by the elevator.
Yeah. The whole team besides Tom Cruise. Yeah.
And I used to think that was the team from the TV series. And
really?
That they just wiped out the TV series cast like that. But you're right. Yeah, it's a perfect example. So. I don't think she's going to live through the first episode. I do hope that it's what she says. The director said it's a kind of the best of Mando and the best of Andor kind of blended together. I hope they go on location a lot. I love Rue. And like I said, I was telling this to Frank off the air too. I must have weeded out all the negativity on Twitter because the only tweets I see that are about people complaining about the negative tweets out there about the trailer. So I feel like I've been sheltered a little bit, but apparently people hate it. Brandon, what say you? Are people hating the Acolyte trailer on Twitter? What's going on with that?
I mean, it's ridiculous. The trailer on YouTube has more dislikes than likes.
Yeah.
And
what?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I saw that screenshot. Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. And Yeah, like every single comment on every single Star Wars post, Disney post is like super negative. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I'm seeing it's all, it's all like ridiculous. It's just like why? It's like Star Wars has like so much variety in it. If you haven't found something you like by now, I mean, between like Andor, Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, Mandalorian, this, Bad Batch, everything's a little different from the last one.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, why people waste the energy? I don't know. I mean, there's nothing to hate. It's a teaser trailer. I don't even know what the hell's going on. How could I hate it if I don't even know what's happening? Like, I don't know who the main character is. I have no idea. Like the trailer like was just like more of like giving you a sense of like the visuals and the tone really above anything else. But I'm excited, and there's been a lot of debate about like the Ki-Adi-Mundi and Phantom Menace saying, oh, the Sith have been extinct for a millennia, and I'm just like, okay, he said the Sith. There's a difference between a dark side Force user and a Sith. Just because someone carries a red lightsaber doesn't mean you're a Sith. You could join the dark side, but the Sith is a very exclusive club. If you don't have that membership card, you're not a Sith.
Right.
Okay. And Ki-Adi-Mundi knows this. He knows there's been Jedi that have turned bad in the last 1,000 years.
Crazy theory I have is when they do finally kill one of the Sith, that the highest of the Jedi decide to hide it from the others and say, hey, this is not something.
That's cool too.
It would show the beginnings, because remember, the era of the movies is called the Fall of the Jedi, and they die, even Luke says, by their own hubris. If they were to say, hey, let's not freak everybody out, looks like we killed it, we got it all. Maybe they don't know about the rule of two yet. Well, I guess Mace does. So, I don't know. It's fun to speculate wildly and responsibly. But it would be a very interesting character turn if Yoda the whole time knew about the Sith and we just didn't tell the others. And like they do a special edition of the Phantom Menace. He's like, the Sith have been extinct for a millennia, and then you just cut to Yoda, who's like,
yeah. Well, he kind of looks like that in Phantom Menace to begin with. Like when you go back and look, he's like,
I'm sorry, Yoda. Do you need to fart or something? What's going on?
Yeah.
I lied to you. I did. But yeah, so who knows? And like to reuse a joke I did on Jedi Way because I was proud of it. It's like Jeff, and you'll like it because you like Jurassic Park, Brandon. It's like, how do they know if they're a Sith anyway? What are they, like dinosaurs? Are they going to check under the skirts to see if they're all girls? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't know. Like, a Force wielder can bleed the crystal red. KOTOR has Dark Jedi. They're not Sith. They're Dark Jedi, right? So, it's going to be very interesting to see how that all boils. The fandom, I am largely separated from that. But, like, just to hear that there are more dislikes than likes just totally bums me out. I don't understand the online society is just, man, it's really disappointing. Like, that, I heard that for the first time just now. Like, I didn't know that. And that's just like, why? There's nothing to hate about it. I'm very honest when I say I was underwhelmed. It was fine.
You were just whelmed. You were whelmed.
Yeah, it was and plenty of time. There's gonna be more trailers to go, right? Like Brandon said, you don't know anything. I don't know anyone. We can't speculate. I'm sure that everybody who knows of the Sith are gonna get killed in the movie anyway. And the main guy. I already forgot his name, but Soul Cerveza, right? Soul Cerveza's gonna die along the Sith, and then the secret will die with him, right? So you don't know what's gonna happen. Like, let them cook. Like my favorite wrestling personality or wrestling pundit, not Sam Wrestling, man. I love Sam, and he's always, when people are complaining about wrestling, they always get so like, why are they doing that? Like, Robert's like, let them cook. Let the cook cook. They're cooking your meal. You don't go in the back of the kitchen and complain because your food's not cooked right. Well, some people do because they're idiots.
I mean, that you can do.
Let them cook. Let's see what they're going to do, and we'll all talk about it and have a fun time talking about it in June.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's plenty more to discuss about the Acolyte, and I'm sure when another trailer comes out or a teaser or some other news comes out, we'll sit down and discuss further at length. Just wanted to get some brief thoughts from Kevin as we wrap up this week's episode, and then we will see you all next week back here for episode 9 of season 3 of The Bad Batch. I did that all in reverse when I normally go Bad Batch season 3 episode 9. Anyways, I've been Frank Janish. That was Kevin Smets. That was Brandon Hanna. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Scoundrel. I like the sound of that.